The quantum probe hung in the inky blackness of space, its crystalline hull reflecting the distant starlight like a diamond suspended in void. Captain Vexnar's six-fingered hands moved with practiced precision across the holographic control interface, his membranous skin shifting through shades of anxious blue and slate gray. "Preliminary scan complete," chirped the ship's AI in a melodic tone that did little to mask the underlying uncertainty. Planet designation: Earth. Threat classification: extreme hazard. Vexinar's secondary eyes, the analytical pair that sat just above his primary optical sensors, narrowed. The data stream flooding the ship's main display was nothing short of chaotic. Volcanic eruptions battled with Category 5 hurricanes. Tectonic plates shifted with violent unpredictability. Temperature ranges swung from molten heat to crystallizing cold within planetary regions mere kilometers apart. "This cannot be a living world," muttered Lyra, the ship's junior xenobiologist. Her tentacle-like appendages danced across a secondary interface, running increasingly complex analytical algorithms. The first anomaly appeared almost imperceptibly. A signal, then another, and another. "Captain," Lyra's voice trembled with a mixture of excitement and confusion, "I'm detecting communication signals." The bridge fell silent. In thousands of years of galactic exploration, the Zarkuli had encountered countless planetary systems. They had cataloged millions of worlds, but never had they seen anything quite like this. The signals were unlike any standard communication protocol. They were a cacophony of information. Fragments of music that seemed to pulse with raw emotional energy, mathematical equations embedded in complex audio wavelengths, visual transmissions showing creatures performing acts of impossible physical prowess. One transmission caught Vexinar's attention. A group of bipedal creatures, humans, the database identified them, were deliberately hurling themselves from great heights, attached to primitive fabric and cable constructions. Parachuting, the cultural database labeled it. To the Zarkili, it looked like an inexplicable suicide ritual. Another signal showed a massive gathering of these humans in an enclosed structure. Thousands of them moved in synchronized chaos, producing sound waves that would rupture the auditory membranes of most known sentient species. "Concert," the database noted clinically. Lyra's analysis continued. The planet's surface should be uninhabitable by any known biological standard. Radiation levels, atmospheric instability, geological volatility. And yet, her voice trailed off. The signals kept coming. Complex digital networks, rapid technological communication, mathematical formulas being exchanged at speeds that should be impossible for a supposedly primitive species. "They're adapting," Lyra whispered, her analytical mind struggling to comprehend what the sensors were revealing. Every environmental challenge. They're not just surviving. They're transforming it. Vexnar felt something he hadn't experienced in centuries of space exploration. Genuine uncertainty. The quantum probe's AI calculated probabilities. The initial assessment had been simple. Earth was a dead world, its inhabitants mere moments from extinction. But with each passing second, that assessment crumbled. Something was very, very wrong with their initial classification. Something was emerging from this impossible planet. And the Zarkuli were about to discover that their understanding of life, adaptation, and survival was woefully, catastrophically incomplete. The United Nations Xenological Response Center hummed with an electricity that had nothing to do with its advanced computer systems. Major Elena Rodriguez stood before a holographic display of the alien probe, her dark eyes reflecting the shifting data streams like obsidian mirrors. "They think we're weak," she muttered, more to herself than to the assembled team of scientists, military strategists, and communications experts. Dr. Marcus Chen, a quantum physicist with hands that never seemed to stop moving, adjusted his glasses. "Their initial scan suggests they categorized us as a pre-spaceflight civilization, potentially extinct within a generation." A low, dangerous laugh escaped Rodriguez's throat. "Then let's show them how wrong they are." The alien transmission sat like an unopened challenge. Most of the team wanted to respond with standard diplomatic protocols, carefully crafted messages of peaceful intent, scientific curiosity, standard first contact procedures developed over decades of xenological research. Rodriguez had other plans. "We're going to hack their own transmission," she announced. The room fell silent. Dr. Chen's fingers were already dancing across multiple holographic interfaces. "It's impossible," he started, then caught himself. Working with Rodriguez had taught him that impossible was just a challenge waiting to be conquered. The alien communication probe was a marvel of technological sophistication. Its encryption was generations beyond human technology, or so the initial analysis suggested. But humans had something the Zarkali didn't understand, an ability to improvise that bordered on the miraculous. "We need something that will make them understand exactly who we are," Rodriguez continued. Her background in special forces, combined with her advanced degree in xenocultural communications, made her the perfect architect of this unprecedented response. The team began to assemble a transmission that was part declaration, part psychological warfare, part mathematical proof of human capability. The first layer came from historical broadcasts, a spliced segment from President Kennedy's moon landing speech, fragments of Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech, snippets of global news broadcasts showing human resilience in the face of natural disasters, pandemics, economic collapses. Dr. Chen integrated a series of mathematical proofs, not just solving complex quantum entanglement equations, but demonstrating the innovative approaches humans use to arrive at those solutions. Each equation was a middle finger to the alien assumption of human primitiveness. A young communications specialist named Aisha Khan found the perfect audio backdrop, a mix of classical music, heavy metal, and electronic beats that would simultaneously demonstrate human cultural complexity and psychological depth. The final touch was Rodriguez's personal contribution. Using advanced linguistic algorithms, they crafted a message that translated to multiple levels of meaning. On the surface, a diplomatic greeting. Beneath that, a clear warning. And at the deepest level, a challenge. "We know you're watching," the transmission would say. "And we're watching back." When the transmission was complete, it was nothing like any first contact message in human history. It was a declaration, a warning, and an invitation, all wrapped into a communication that would make the Zarkali question everything they thought they knew about humanity. Dr. Chen looked up, a rare smile crossing his typically analytical face. "Transmission ready, Major." Rodriguez's finger hovered over the send button. "Let's introduce ourselves to the galaxy." The Zarkalis Central Command Chamber resembled a cathedral of technological precision, its crystalline walls pulsing with holographic data streams that would drive most species to sensory overload. Dr. Xanter, lead xenobiological researcher, stood at the epicenter of mounting panic. "Impossible," he muttered, his tertiary neural cluster throbbing with a combination of scientific excitement and absolute terror. The human transmission had been more than a message. It was a comprehensive assault on everything the Zarkali understood about emerging civilizations. Initial threat assessments had classified Earth as a Stage 0 planetary civilization, a designation reserved for species on the brink of self-extinction. Now those assessments lay in digital ruins. The holographic displays told a story of unimaginable adaptability. Humans survived. No, thrived. In environments that would instantly vaporize Zarkali biological systems. Deep-sea trenches where pressure would crush their exoskeletons. Arctic westlands where temperatures dropped to levels that should halt cellular function. Radioactive zones that would trigger immediate genetic collapse. But humans didn't just survive. They weaponized these environments. One particularly disturbing data cluster showed human military training. Soldiers deliberately exposed to extreme conditions, their bodies not just resisting but adapting. Mountain warfare units that operated in oxygen-thin heights. Desert combat teams that transformed harsh environments into tactical advantages. underwater special forces that redefined the very concept of human limitations. "Look at their medical technologies," whispered Lyra, the junior researcher who had first detected the human signals. Her neural tendrils interfaced directly with the data stream, processing information at near-quantum speeds. Human medical records revealed something truly terrifying. When their bodies encountered a challenge, be it disease, environmental stress, or physical trauma, they didn't just heal. They improved. Cellular regeneration that bordered on the miraculous. Immune systems that learned and evolved with unprecedented speed. Prosthetic technologies that didn't just replace lost function but enhanced existing capabilities. The psychological profiles were equally disturbing. Humans displayed a level of psychological resilience that defied all known xenobiological models. They transformed trauma into motivation. Failure became a learning opportunity. Extreme stress triggered not breakdown, but innovation. Dr. Xanter pulled up a compilation of human achievements, a species that had gone from basic powered flight to lunar landing in less than 70 years, a global communication network developed in mere decades, medical breakthroughs that rewrote biological understanding, technological innovations that seemed to emerge from pure creative will. "They're not just a species," Xanter said, his voice barely a whisper. "They're a force of nature." The central command chamber fell silent. The holographic displays continued their relentless data stream, each new piece of information more unsettling than the last. Humanity wasn't just another civilization waiting to be cataloged or controlled. They were something else entirely. And the galaxy was about to find out exactly what that meant. The diplomatic vessel Celestial Harmony was anything but harmonious. Ambassador Corell of the Zarkali Diplomatic Corps adjusted his ceremonial communication tendrils, their usual iridescent shimmer now dulled by a growing sense of unease. Across the negotiation chamber sat two humans who defied every diplomatic protocol in the Galactic Handbook: Major Elena Rodriguez and Dr. Marcus Chen. Rodriguez wore a tailored military dress uniform that seemed to radiate control potential. Her posture suggested a predator waiting to strike. Dr. Chen, by contrast, looked almost academic, wire-rimmed glasses, a data tablet that seemed an extension of his own neural pathways, and a smile that held more calculation than warmth. The initial exchange was anything but standard. "We appreciate the opportunity for diplomatic discourse," Rodriguez began, her voice a carefully modulated instrument of precision. "Though I'm sure you understand our reservations." Corell's universal translator struggled momentarily. The human language was a labyrinth of contextual nuance, cultural references, and psychological manipulation that made traditional diplomatic communication look like children's play. Dr. Chen initiated the first substantive exchange. What appeared to be a simple discussion of technological exchange was, in reality, a multi-layered psychological chess match. Each statement was a probe, each question a potential trap. "Your quantum communication networks," Chen said, his fingers dancing across his data tablet, "present interesting parallels to our emerging quantum computing models. Particularly interesting is your approach to quantum entanglement." It wasn't a compliment. It was a surgical dissection of Zarkali technological assumptions. Corell felt the first tendrils of diplomatic panic. These humans weren't following any known negotiation protocol. They weren't seeking agreement. They were systematically mapping the limitations of Zarkali diplomatic and technological understanding. Rodriguez dropped the first real bombshell mid-conversation. A comprehensive data package that outlined potential trade agreements, but each agreement was constructed as a complex psychological and economic challenge. Technology exchanges that would force the Zarkali to reveal more than they received. Economic proposals that turned traditional galactic trade models inside out. "We're not asking for your technology," Rodriguez said, her smile never reaching her eyes. "We're offering you an opportunity to understand ours." It was a threat disguised as an invitation, a challenge wrapped in diplomacy. Dr. Chen's contributions were equally devastating. He spoke multiple alien languages, not just translated, but with a deep understanding of linguistic and cultural nuances that suggested years of intensive study. He referenced obscure cultural practices, historical events, and philosophical concepts from the Zarkali civilization that suggested a level of research far beyond standard diplomatic preparation. Every Zarkali diplomatic technique was systematically identified, analyzed, and neutralized. By the session's end, Corell realized something terrifying. They weren't just being negotiated with. They were being comprehensively studied. Humanity wasn't seeking a diplomatic agreement. They were learning how to defeat the Zarkali before a single shot could be fired. The Global Innovation Nexus looked nothing like a traditional research facility. Situated beneath the Andes Mountains, it was a testament to human ingenuity. A labyrinth of quantum computing centers, alien technology integration labs, and research spaces that blurred the lines between science fiction and reality. Dr. Aisha Khan stood before a holographic display that would have driven most scientific minds to paralysis. Captured alien technology from the Zarkali probe lay dissected, analyzed, and was now being systematically reimagined. "It's not about understanding their technology," she muttered to her team of researchers, engineers, and theoretical physicists. "It's about breaking it down and rebuilding it as something entirely new." The first breakthrough came unexpectedly. A communication module that the Zarkali had considered the pinnacle of faster-than-light communication technology was now being transformed. Where the aliens saw a refined transmission system, human researchers saw a framework waiting to be completely reconstructed. Dr. Elena Rodriguez, a different Rodriguez from the diplomatic corps, but sharing the same intense drive, examined a quantum entanglement relay. Her background in theoretical physics and quantum mechanics saw possibilities where the Zarkali saw completed technology. "Look here," she pointed to a microscopic circuit design. "Their entire communication network is built on a linear progression model. We're going to make it multidimensional." The team worked in shifts that defied human endurance. Programmers who had been awake for 36 hours straight continued to code, their neural interfaces allowing for near-continuous cognitive input. Quantum physicists manipulated alien technological frameworks with a creativity that bordered on artistic expression. Within weeks, what had been a single alien communication module became something entirely different. A hybrid technology that combines Zarkali quantum principles with human adaptive engineering created a communication network that was less a tool and more a living, evolving system. Dr. Khan's team didn't just reverse engineer. They'd reimagined. A defensive shield system became an adaptive protection matrix that could learn and predict threats in real time. A propulsion technology was transformed from a linear movement system to a probability-based travel mechanism that could essentially fold space around a vessel. The most terrifying development came from an unexpected quarter. A junior researcher named Miguel Ortiz discovered that the alien technology responded differently to human interaction. Where Zarkali systems were rigid and protocol-driven, these technologies seemed to become more complex when challenged by human creativity. "It's like they're alive," Ortiz reported, his voice a mixture of excitement and scientific disbelief. "The more we push, the more they adapt." By the third month, the Global Innovation Nexus had transformed captured alien technology into something that would have been unrecognizable to its original creators. Communication systems that could predict communication before it happened. Defensive technologies that didn't just protect but could actively neutralize threats through predictive algorithms. The Zarkali had brought humanity a gift. They just didn't realize it was a Trojan horse of technological evolution. Humanity wasn't just catching up to alien technology. They were rewriting the entire concept of technological progression. The first wave of Zarkali ships emerged from quantum fold space like a constellation of razor-edged crystals. Their weapons systems represented generations of galactic warfare experience, precise, calculated, designed to neutralize threats with surgical efficiency. They never stood a chance. Major Elena Rodriguez watched from the underground command center beneath the Rocky Mountains. Her fingers, wrapped in a neural interface glove, danced across holographic displays that looked more like abstract art than military controls. "Incoming primary assault vector," announced Lieutenant Carlos Ramirez, his voice calm despite the apocalyptic scene unfolding on the displays. "Quantum encryption suggests complete technological superiority." Rodriguez allowed herself the smallest of smiles. "Let's show them what superiority really means." The Zarkali attack followed what they believed was a perfect strategic model. Multiple attack vectors, quantum encrypted communication channels, weapons that could theoretically neutralize entire continental defense systems in milliseconds. But they had fundamentally misunderstood one critical factor: humanity. The first alien strike hit what appeared to be a major military installation in the Nevada desert. Their quantum weapons powered up, ready to vaporize the entire complex in a single devastating pulse. The installation wasn't just empty. It was a trap. The moment the Zarkali weapons fired, they discovered something impossible. The military base was a sophisticated holographic and quantum reflective decoy. Their own weapons' energy was instantaneously redirected, transformed into a targeting signal that revealed every single ship's exact location, quantum signature, and structural weakness. "Communication hijack initiated," Ramirez reported. "They're broadcasting their own tactical network." Humans had spent months preparing. Every captured piece of alien technology, every intercepted communication, every theoretical model had been transformed into a comprehensive defensive strategy that was less a military plan and more a living, adaptive organism. Drone swarms, not the mechanical, predictable units the Zarkali expected, but adaptive, AI-driven units that could make tactical decisions faster than any centralized command. They moved like a murmuration of starlings, each unit communicating and adapting in microseconds. The alien ships found themselves fighting not against a military, but against a distributed intelligence that treated warfare like a complex, real-time problem-solving exercise. When the Zarkali attempted to jam human communication networks, they discovered the networks weren't networks at all. They were a quantum-entangled, constantly shifting communication matrix that could route around damage faster than the attackers could even identify a target. Major Rodriguez's true masterstroke was psychological. Every alien communication channel was flooded, not with counterattacks, but with a comprehensive data package. Humanity's history. The Galactic Council chamber stood silent, its massive holographic displays casting an eerie light across representatives from thousands of civilizations. What had begun as a routine assessment of the Zarkali's military action had become something entirely different. Archival historian Vreen Tak of the Luminarian Collective was the first to break the silence. His crystalline form shifted through shades of comprehension and disbelief. "They didn't just defend," he stated, his voice a complex harmonic that translated differently for each species present. "They transformed an invasion into a comprehensive cultural exchange." The data streams told a story that defied every known model of first contact and interstellar conflict. The human response to the Zarkali attack was nothing short of revolutionary. Where most species would have responded with pure military force, humans had turned the entire confrontation into a multidimensional communication event. Every destroyed Zarkali vessel had broadcast massive data packages, human history, scientific achievements, cultural artifacts, mathematical proofs. It was as if the humans were saying, "This is who we are. This is why you cannot defeat us." The Quantum Archives, a neutral repository of galactic information, had been flooded with unprecedented data. Human music that could trigger emotional responses across multiple species, scientific discoveries that rewrote fundamental understanding of physics, biology, and quantum mechanics, philosophical concepts that challenged millennia of established galactic thought. Representative Chimera of the Crystalline Confederacy studied the transmission logs. "They're not just a species," she observed. "They're a living, adaptive intelligence." The most terrifying aspect was humanity's approach to the conflict. They hadn't just defended. They had educated. The data transmitted during the battle contained more scientific and cultural information than most species shared in centuries of diplomatic exchange. Diplomatic channels across the galaxy lit up with a mixture of terror, respect, and desperate attempts to understand this new player. Human communication intercepted between their own command structures revealed something even more unsettling. They were treating the entire invasion as a learning opportunity. Intercepted communications showed human researchers already analyzing Zarkeli technology, military strategies, and communication protocols, not as trophies of war, but as potential avenues for mutual understanding and technological advancement. "They're exploring," Vreemtalk said, his crystalline form pulsing with a mixture of fear and academic excitement. "Even in conflict, they're seeking to understand." The Zarkeli, once considered one of the most advanced military civilizations in the galaxy, had been comprehensively dismantled not by superior firepower, but by a species that approached conflict as a complex, multidimensional problem to be solved, rather than a simple binary of victory or defeat. Diplomatic channels began to buzz with a new kind of communication. Not fear, not aggression. Curiosity. Humanity had not just entered the galactic stage. They had rewritten the entire concept of interstellar engagement. The galaxy was changing, and it would never be the same again. The first human interstellar vessel looked nothing like the sleek, symmetrical designs of other galactic civilizations. The ISV Prometheus was a testament to human pragmatism and adaptive engineering, a ship that looked more like a collection of modular components held together by an intelligence that defied traditional spacecraft design. Captain Miranda Chen stood on the bridge, her hand resting on a control interface that was part advanced technology, part organic adaptive system. Around her, a crew that represented a cross-section of human potential: scientists, military personnel, diplomats, engineers, worked with a synchronicity that bordered on the supernatural. "Quantum fold drive ready," announced Lieutenant Carlos Ramirez, his neural interface pulsing with a soft blue light. Trajectory calculated, multiple contingency protocols in place. The journey wasn't just a mission of exploration. It was a statement, humanity's first true step into the broader galactic community. A community that now viewed them with a mixture of terror, respect, and desperate curiosity. The diplomatic data packages that had accompanied their launch were themselves a work of art. Comprehensive cultural exchanges, open-source technological proposals, mathematical proofs that invited collaboration rather than competition. It was an invitation and a challenge wrapped into a single transmission. Dr. Aisha Khan, the mission's chief scientific officer, monitored the ship's adaptive systems. The Prometheus wasn't just a spacecraft. It was a living research facility, capable of reconfiguring itself based on encountered environments, scientific discoveries, and potential threats. "Incoming quantum communication," announced the ship's AI, an entity that was more a collaborative partner than a simple computer system. Multiple galactic civilizations requesting preliminary communication protocols. Chen smiled. The old rules were changing. The ship's first destination wasn't the closest habitable system. It was a region of space that most galactic civilizations considered uninhabitable, a chaotic stellar nursery with radiation levels that would destroy most known spacecraft. For humans, it was an opportunity. As they approached the first waypoint, the ship began to transform. Radiation-absorbing hull configurations emerged like living metal, quantum adaptive shielding recalibrated in real time. What would be a death sentence for other species became a research opportunity. "Data collection commencing," Dr. Khan reported. Her voice carried the same excitement that human explorers had shown throughout their history, from the first ocean crossings to the first lunar landing. The Prometheus wasn't just carrying humans into space. It was carrying humanity's fundamental approach to existence, a combination of curiosity, adaptability, and an almost religious belief in the potential of innovation. Transmission logs from Earth continued to flood the communication arrays. Scientific discoveries, cultural exchanges, mathematical innovations. It was as if the entire planet was reaching out, turning the ship into a living extension of human potential. As they crossed into uncharted space, Captain Chen understood the true nature of their mission. This wasn't just exploration. This was transformation. The galaxy had a new player, and nothing would ever be the same again.